Hello guys, there is a good tradition to celebrate the Independence Day with fireworks. Currently it is impossible in Ukraine because we have war and people react badly to loud sounds, explosions. I'm not sure we will return back to these traditions decades after the victory. But what Ukrainian people like are fireworks on the Russian side during the destruction of their military objects. And the Ukrainian armed forces have found a really good solution, and this week was very explosive on the Russian side. A good way to remind and celebrate Ukrainian independence. So let me tell you about top 3, when actually there were many more explosions on the Russian military objects during this Independence Week. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see Russia defeated, subscribe. I'm sure we will discuss this beautiful day on the channel sometime soon. And actually there are lots of things to do about Russian fakes, Russian disinformation, and the future dissolution of the Federation. So let's concentrate on this Independence Week, which we decided to celebrate on the Russian side with fireworks there. And we have destroyed, first of all, a huge oil refinery in Rostov region. I did not mention that previously in my vlogs because, oil refineries, that's a typical targets for the Ukrainian drones, but this one turned out to be huge and they still cannot stop the fire. It was targeted many days ago, almost a week, and they cannot set the fire down. They did everything. There were lots of firefighters, lots of vehicles used, but the detonation continues. More than 14 and close to 20 really big oil cisternas, oil tanks exploded, and they continue doing that with very severe fires. I don't know, maybe this is actually the largest fire on a Russian oil refinery ever. And they were doing everything to stop the fire, even invited Russian Moscow Orthodox priests. But God sees pretty well what Russia does to the world, and perhaps their prayers did not work out. The fire continues. This is a huge loss for Russia's export facilities, and of course, many of these oil refineries and depots are used to back up Russian troops at the front lines, and we don't want that. It's much easier to encircle them like in the Kursk region when they don't have enough oil. I love how organized, how strategically wise Ukrainian armed forces, and that's the best way to compensate fewer people, fewer supplies, fewer crazy suppliers of missiles like North Korea in Russia. With Ukrainian wisdom, with the knowledge of our partners, we develop better ways to neutralize Russian military targets. By the way, today President Zelensky announced the creation of Ukrainian long-range missile Palyanytsia. The choice of the word is quite obvious. That's the word that Russian invaders cannot pronounce because our languages are very different. And that was actually a test for invaders at the very start of the full-scale war. That's how Ukrainian people were able to detect Russian soldiers, asking them to pronounce the word, and if they failed, then the soldiers really failed. Let me know, would you like more stories about that in the comments below, and subscribe. That's the best way to congratulate a Ukrainian with the Day of Independence of Ukraine, and believe me, now we know how important it is. We always knew, but in times of war, in times when you can be killed any day because you're Ukrainian, you start valuing your people, your culture, your history, your streets, your food, your air, your skies, many times more. I'm going through this very emotional time right now. But what makes me also positively emotional is the destruction of huge ammunition warehouses in Voronezh, first Voronezh, then Volgograd. I love it when I have many locations for our geography lessons. So tonight, serious explosions took place in Voronezh, There are ammunition warehouses next to a training center, and lots of artillery shells and even tanks were set on fire, which is beautiful because this means they won't be used to destroy Ukrainian streets, houses, and lives. That's amazing, and that was done either by a Neptune missile, which is a Ukrainian-made missile. And I love this idea to develop Ukrainian long-range missiles and use them deep inside Russia. It's really complicated, especially in times of war, but we're doing our best, and also try and persuade those who doubt, those decision makers, to allow Ukraine strike back. I'm sure we have proved we are humane, we follow the rules of war, we will not target civilian objects, but we will save more civilian lives in Ukraine and elsewhere by destroying Russian military warehouses, airfields, and oil refineries. Because, okay, we will keep oil refineries for Ukrainian drones. Remember to support my Nephew Birthday campaign, where we collect for a huge flock of Ukrainian angry drones that will definitely be on some important missions. And I think we will feel very proud learning more of Russian geography based on the military object destroyed there by our angry birds. The link will be pinned as the first comment. So, angry drones also visited Russian airfield in Volgograd. I have spoken a bit about that, but the fires were really huge and destroyed a very big storage of guided bombs. Every Ukrainian hates them. We know how much destruction they bring to the territories. They are evil because Russians are able to drop them still on the Russian side when we are not allowed to target them. And then they travel the guided trajectory and destroy, for example, a Ukrainian school. The more of such storages we destroy, the better. I cannot understand why people prevent us from doing this, from destroying Russian bombs, destroying Russian shells, destroying Russian tanks. This is good, even for Russia itself, because only total military defeat of modern Russia, collapse of Kremlin, imprisonment of Putin can help millions of Russians de-zombify in future and start living more or less normal life. I'm not very optimistic about them, but still we have to try, especially if you are kind people. I'm not that kind. I'm Ukrainian. I know how much pain they have brought to my land, so please let me be realistic about the Russian population. I was really surprised to hear Lukashenko, the dictator of Belarus, the so-called dictator, because he's like faking everything. He's a fake president and he's a fake dictator because he's totally dependent on Putin. He congratulated Ukraine with the day of independence. He says so many stupid things. First, he supports Putin. He gives his country as the platform for Russian attacks. Then he says we should stop quarreling, forgetting how badly he described Ukraine. Then he says he sends the troops because we will attack them, watching what's happening in the Kursk region. And today he congratulates us with independence. That's insane, but this demonstrates the chaos inside their heads and perhaps the weakness that they see in Putin. Let me know, would you like more information about what's happening right now in Kursk? And I love the independence greeting address of the president. It is so beautiful. I don't know why they don't have an English version. Maybe it can give you subtitles if you visit his YouTube. But it is, I will connect this video if YouTube allows me. This is beautiful. He says very strong messages that we need only our territories, we need our 1991 borders, but Ukrainians always return the debt. And we will definitely return this debt to the Russian Federation. That's the way it is, because unpunished evil grows. We've learned the lesson of 2014. And I'm sure the world did. So let me know, would you like an update on Kursk and actually a very serious encirclement that is going on right now, and it seems to me already finalized. And I think more and more people see that you can trust Ukraine. We can do it. You know what I mean. Let me know, do you like my vyshyvanka? I've decided to be in vyshyvanka on the stream, a different one. This one is more than 10 or 15 years old, but that's a good tradition. Let me know, do you have vyshyvankas and where you're wearing them? That's a good way to remind people about Ukraine. That's important. And for example, t-shirts in our merch shop also work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. And to help more people remind about Ukraine, we've decided to make a sale that will last for 2 days, -15 on everything. So if you like something in our merch shop, visit it. The link is in the description of this video, and -15 guaranteed. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. That's a blessing to have you in my life and to dream, work, plan, and introduce you to some new projects in the time to come. That is all because I have you in my life. Thank you. Join me on Instagram, X, and Threads. We have a beautiful Discord community, but most importantly, subscribe to YouTube. We have a true friends community here, and perhaps this is my greatest achievement in life. And I'm very happy that in this really challenging times, we stand together. Thank you. Дякую. Слава Україні!